This is Talk of the Town, a weekly program featuring community events happening in and around Northeast Michigan. With your host, Bradley Summers. And get the latest from Alpena Community College with ACC President Dr. Don McMaster. And now, today's Talk of the Town.
Good morning and welcome to Talk of the Town. Our first guest this morning is Sarah Morrison from NEMI-GLSI. And just so we get the acronym correct, NEMI-GLSI stands for Northeast Michigan Great Lakes Stewardship Initiative.
It's rolling off your tongue now.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Thank you. It's a lot of practice.
When I first started working for them as well as the communications director, there was a lot of practice and more pausing in between there to take breaths. But all those words matter because it is a unique organization that really helps students have more stewardship, more connection to the community, and brings a lot of local partners together as well to serve as resources to educators. Yeah,
and we were talking about that just before we started taping was, you know, some of the networks and collaborations that you're helping see fit into the community and where those resources should be allocated. And, you know, that's really important too, that, you know, you work with Huron Pines and Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary and a lot of different entities as well that are out here. So it's, you know, there's a lot of, I know, prime focus that you're focused on making sure those initiatives and those resources are passed along, but it's really important too to bring in all those networks of people because it branches everything out and it creates more opportunity.
Yeah, and we have so many great organizations, and you know, we tend to work with a lot of educators, and then with our network of leaders from these other organizations like MSU Extension, AMA ESD, but then we can bring the two together. So if we have an educator who wants something or wants to do a project and they want to do something at Negwagon State Park, we have a representative from Friends of Negwagon State Park, and we can connect those people. And then this class, this environmental class, is out there studying vernal pools, which have you ever heard of a vernal pool?
No.
These things are so cool, and they're very unique to our area, and they happen in the spring, and very like fairy shrimp. The kids were all very excited about fairy shrimp. They're these organisms that are very unique to just vernal pools and only live in them, and so they were finding them and documenting them, but just stuff that like is so much different than seeing a picture in a textbook. Like when I saw this in real life in like a little test tube and all these kids had found it because they were in waders getting in a vernal pool like in Negwagon State Park or in Norway Ridge, it's just different. Like you learn that for life. And you know, I'm kind of going into what place-based stewardship education is. I know when I started working with this organization a little over a year ago, I didn't quite know what that meant. And I would define it as having students just bringing learning to life outside of the classroom. And not only are they like taking stuff they might have learned about water turbidity or, you know, like how to identify like a bioatmosphere in water, or abiotic or biotic. I'm still learning all my terminology. But they've learned this stuff in the classroom, and then they can go test it out in the Thunder Bay River. They could go test it at Badger Lake. So that's really cool, but it also connects them to the community. So that's that piece where they're not just like really learning the stuff for life, like they have an appreciation for the state park, for Lake Huron, for the trails at Negwagon that they might never see. You know, they learn about, you know, things like cleaning your boots when you go from trail system to trail system and why that matters, and just they become stewards not only of the community but the earth. So it's a really cool organization to be a part of. And I just went off on a tangent, but
no, that's a beautiful tangent because you know, and I'm thinking we live in such a beautiful area that has immense resources for being outside no matter what season it is. And the more that we can educate people in our community, especially starting with kids at a young age and learning inside the classroom and taking that outside the classroom, the more, you know, active stewards we're going to have to make this beautiful for another, you know, 700 years or whatever it is. You know, we have to take our we take our, you know, our responsibility is now, you know, to positively impact what happens in the future.
Yeah.
And that's why I commend what you're doing, because that, you know, supporting the educators and, you know, having kids have an active learning, it isn't, like you said, so much about the textbook. It's about, you know, what is abiotic and biotic, and how does it affect our climate? How does it affect our, you know, the resources that are around us?
Yeah.
And the more that we can empower people, the better off it is.
Yeah. And exactly, I really do believe that when you're connected to nature and you have an appreciation for it, that just brings so many positive things. How you treat the earth, how you handle things in life, like, you know, that's a whole nother conversation, but it's really cool too, seeing some of these projects that these kids have done. You know, the environmental science class at Alcona built a rain garden at Harrisville Harbor because there was pollution coming off the parking lot, and then it ends up in Lake Huron, which, you know, our Great Lakes are part of the ocean. It affects all of our water supply. So we want to prevent this stuff from going in the water. And so they worked with U.S. Fish and Wildlife. They worked with Huron Pines. They wrote their own grant to secure some more money for this rain garden. They picked out all the plants, and then they installed it. And now future classes are going to come maintain it. So that's just a great example of, like, this was a huge learning experience in so many ways, from grant writing to researching plants that are important for helping not only like pollinators that are native to the area, but helping that pollution. And whenever they go to the harbor, they're going to see it. They're going to be like, that was one of my projects, but they know what that did. You know, just stuff like that. Like, I'm learning stuff going on these field visits. I'm like, I had no idea the purpose of a rain garden until Nemiglissi. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I may have been saying Nemiglissi is how I was saying it, but so, you know, with all the support you're providing educators and on classroom work and getting out into the communities and into the resources that are around us and all these other wonderful things that you're doing, talk about ways that people can support you and support the efforts that are going on so that we can continue and sustain these programs. Sure.
We are a nonprofit organization, and so we are funded by some grants, but a lot of donations, a lot of fundraising as well. And I always tell people, I'm like, this stays right here in your community. Like, this stays right here in Northeast Michigan, helping the teachers in your community, the youth in your community. Like, you could see Huron Pines and some other organizations that we're connected to just did a rain garden on the corner of the Thunder Bay Marine Sanctuary, and the Posen students came and planted that.
That's awesome.
So just stuff like that. Like, I know when I'm thinking about donating, I love looking for things that I'm going to see, like, that's going to feel really good to know how it was used in your own community. So you can always go to our website, nemiglissi.org, and we always have a donation link. And then we are part of Giving Tuesday through Northeast Michigan Community Foundation. Okay, good.
Yep.
Lots of long acronyms today. And so that's on Tuesday, the 28th.
28th.
So that'll be a big thing for us too.
Yeah, and that's always a really big, there's a lot of really wonderful, 65 different organizations, I believe,
wow.
65 or 68 are in it this week, or this year. And you know, in a couple weeks, I'll have Patrick Harity will be on, the executive director, talking about that. But it's so great to see wonderful organizations like yours being represented at Giving Tuesday. And I hope people that are out there watching, you know, take the time to visit the website, find out about the resources, and support what you're doing. Oh,
we have so many projects highlighted there. You can see some of the things that these schools from, I think we cover like 10 or 11 counties. So it's not just Alpena, Alcona, like we are in Indian River, like Sheboygan, a lot of that stuff. There was a trip to Charity Island. Have you ever heard of Charity Island? It's off of Au Gres in the middle of Saginaw Bay, kind of. So a lot of the students in Au Gres will go out there and do stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so it covers a large part of Northeast Michigan, but you know, that's our home.
Well, thank you so much for being on today and talking about it. I can't believe how fast that went.
I know.
We could easily do 2 segments, but good luck in Giving Tuesday.
Thanks.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too.
And you know, and once again, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
And thank you all for joining us in the first segment. Stay tuned after the break for BJ Sander at the Alpena Senior Citizens Center. Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest is BJ Sander from the Alpena Senior Citizen Center. Hey, BJ.
Hi, how are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
I haven't been here in a long time. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you make me have to talk to Annie every so often.
I
Jeez. Well, I'm really happy to have you today.
Thank you.
I know you have a lot of really important things coming up, especially, well, we'll talk about the Giving Tuesday. That really seems like something that we're all talking about, you know, because that's a really big opportunity for nonprofits in our community to really get some much needed funding to help continue and sustain the vital programs that are going on. Would you just please give a little bit of an update on the Meals on Wheels program?
So, Meals on Wheels, along with our congregate meals, and we only serve lunch now at the Senior Center from 11:30 to 12:30. But as food prices go up, we continue to see an uprise in our congregate meals and our Meals on Wheels. We've got more Meals on Wheels clients. I believe we talked yesterday about that, over 200 Meals on Wheels clients. Just a couple, 3 months ago, we had about 160. So that's how much it's going up. And our congregate meals, it's just amazing where our dining room is almost full every day,
That's
Monday
amazing.
through Friday. But suggested donation of $3.50, you really can't nowadays, especially with the cost of food, prepare a lunch for that amount of money.
Right? I mean, a slice of cheese seems to cost $3.50.
Yes. So we continue to see a rise in those meals. And of course, you know, when you continue to see a rise in those meals, that requires the Senior Center to purchase more food, and the funds don't go up accordingly. So it's quite an interesting challenge for us to make all of that work right now.
And when I have you or Annie on the show, I always like to get an update about the Meals on Wheels program, because it's so vital in our community that these kind of resources stay sustainable.
Yes.
And you know, you're saying 200, you know, Meals on Wheels clients, and then you have almost a full house with congregate meals. So you're serving, you know, 300 to 400 meals every single day. And there are individuals in this community that may not be able to just drive somewhere and go to McDonald's or go to the grocery store. You're actually providing life-saving services to some of these individuals.
So just to put it into perspective a little bit, we just my other organization that I belong to, we just sold potatoes as a fundraiser, and I learned at that point in time that to prepare one lunch is 100 pounds of potatoes at the Senior Center.
Wow.
So you need 100 pounds of potatoes just for one lunch.
And that's 10 bags that the Lions Club was selling.
Yes.
You know, and that's a great thing, because we actually received at the Boys and Girls Club, we received some potatoes that we turn around and give to families and help with their Thanksgiving meal.
Right, yeah, I think they had 300 pounds that they gave out to nonprofit organizations.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's just incredible, and it's amazing how fast they go.
Yes, it is.
So, and I know you have a new grant that you just received.
Oh my gosh, this is an exciting grant. I just can't wait for it to start taking place. Although it's going to be some extra things that Annie and I will be doing. It's a dementia grant, which is desperately needed in our community or our county. We're going to start the grant in December, but the community will really start seeing that grant out in the community in January. It's based around a training called Speckle. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it's a Speckle training that comes out of England. It's a new way of working with dementia. So we're pretty excited to have that training. That training for Annie and I, and if we can hire another person, will take about almost close to a year.
Wow.
So in the process of all that, our goal is to be out in the community working with the fire department, with the police departments, the sheriff's departments, the EMS guys, training these individuals on the Speckle training. And I know it might sound crazy for some people, but once you see that work, it's amazing what a difference it makes when you're working with someone with a dementia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be very cool. We'll also be working on bringing in an identifier bracelet. So if someone with dementia wanders and gets lost, that will be a tracking mechanism for the police department, sheriff's department, whoever's looking for that individual. That'll be a tracking device for them. So we'll be bringing that into our community, which is desperately needed also.
Yeah, that's a great resource.
Yes, and the goal for this grant, when we wrote this grant, this is a 2-year grant. So the goal for that particular grant is to make Alpena a friendly and safe dementia community.
Well, and that's a great idea, bringing in local law enforcement and
Yes.
public safety officials, because if these individuals are out and lost or something along those lines, you know, it's very beneficial for them to understand their needs and how to better serve them.
Absolutely.
So that it doesn't, you know, obviously we want everybody to be safe. So, you know, and the bracelets I think are a really, really great idea.
And you know, if you've ever worked with anyone with dementia, you know that the slightest little change in their world really affects them drastically. So to understand how to work with that. So if this person ends up in the ER, how do you work with that person if you're putting them alone in a room to wait?
Yeah.
And if the fire department or the ambulance people go to pick somebody up with a dementia, how do you work with that person while they're freaking out because you're taking them away from their safe space? So
exactly.
It's going to be really, really amazing, I believe, for our community. And the way our community is such a giving community, I see them all really wrapping their arms around this. So.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I wish you good luck on your in your
yes,
training.
Yes.
And boy, that's going to be a great resource to bring to.
We'll
bring
also
to
be
Alpena.
bringing a memory cafe, which is would be for the caregiver or the spouse, of course, with the person with dementia coming in for an opportunity to socialize. Not necessarily a support group, but an opportunity for socialization. Because sometimes when that person gets a diagnosis, that couple may want to stay holed up in their home because they don't want anybody to know. They don't know how to absorb all that information. So this is an opportunity for them to come to the center. We'll have activities, entertainment, snacks for about an hour or two. So stay tuned for that. Probably in March is when we're projected to roll that out.
Awesome, and there's always so many great things that are going on. You know, you and your team over there are doing such a great job with making people feel so welcome and supported, and you know, providing so much more above and beyond what you know you may normally want to do. I know you guys, all of you, just bend over backwards to make sure that people are well taken care of.
You know, and you have to say that for all of our nonprofits in Alpena. Your group, our group, all of those nonprofits out there that are just looking at what can we do to support our community. The need is there, and everybody's amazing with that. That's what I love about Alpena.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. Yeah.
And while we have the last like 15 seconds here, you are one of the organizations for Giving Tuesday this year.
2 years in a row. We're pretty excited. It's a great opportunity for us. It requires us to step out of our box because, you know, during COVID was when we really got adapted to working with social media and technology. So it's really helped Annie and myself working with our PR person or our graphics art designer on how to do all of these things. So another learning experience.
Well, I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
And I hope there's a lot of people out there that are watching that.
And I believe same to you, right?
Well, thank you. Yes.
Who's
and
going to get that golden goose?
yeah, I know, right? I hope it's the Boys and Girls Club, but I really hope it's the Alpena Senior Citizen Center too.
I don't know if the museum's going to let go of it, though.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
on today.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us. If you would like your nonprofit highlighted on the show, please contact btsummers@gmail.com or call WBKB for scheduling information. Have a great rest of your Sunday and happy hunting.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Dr. Don McMaster, president of Alpena Community College, and I'd like to take our time together this morning to bring you up to speed on some of the things that have happened recently at ACC, good things. We had a board meeting last night, Thursday evening, and there were three things that I covered and that I'd like to share with you. One is we had a signing ceremony for the Northeast Michigan Teacher Pipeline. This is an effort really that was led by AMA Superintendent Justin Glusing, and it involves a partnership between the K-12s who make up AMA. That would be Alpena, Alcona, the two primary ones, and Hillman and Atlanta. All of these districts have a need for more teachers. Virtually every district does. And the premise behind the Northeast Michigan teacher pipeline, I think, is smart, and that is, let's figure out a way to grow our own. Young people who grow up in this region have a passion and a vision for becoming educators. Let's figure out a way, a seamless way, an efficient way to get them through the school that's required to become a credentialed teacher. So this effort began probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was really initiated by Superintendent Glusing, and it involved quite a bit of detail work and really articulating the K-12 Alpena Community College, and in this case, the education programs at Northern Michigan University and Central Michigan University. So we had a signing ceremony last week. A number of folks spoke from Alpena, from ACC. I would like to commend Dr. Paige Gordier, who stepped in and has done a lot of the detail kind of crosswalking between the K-12s and the universities. And also Tim Kuhnlein and Amanda Campbell, who are social sciences instructors at ACC. They had a hand in revising and updating an education course that was on our books but hadn't been taught for quite a while, and making it fresh and vibrant and being the part really that is kind of new in this, this pathway. So thank you to everyone involved in that. It's nice to be, it's important that we be part of the solution for education issues in Northeast Michigan, and a teacher shortage is definitely fits that criteria. Also at ACC, Director of Public Information and Marketing Jay Walterwright annually creates and publishes an annual report of ACC, what's happened during the course of the year. And this is a 28-page document chock full of ACC stories, data, photos, and accomplishments. And it is a very attractive, accurate, well-written representation of a very active, productive, I would say, successful year at ACC. So kudos to Jay Walterwright for that, and all the folks, and there are many of them who contributed content or photos, sometimes both. On the front cover is a shot from a picture from January, last January, where Alpena Community College and Saginaw Valley State University had a signing ceremony for the Bachelor of Science in Nursing partnership between these two schools. Nice event. One of the first public uses, also Fitzpatrick Hall over in a nursing area. So it's a doubly nice photo. So well done by Jay Walterwright. The last thing I shared with the board members and the attendees at last night's board meeting was some data from a statewide organization called CEPI. That acronym stands for Center for Educational Performance Indicators. So this is a repository where community colleges and other educational institutions, but community colleges is what I'm focusing on, submit data. And then CEPI aggregates it and parses it, dices it up in a variety of ways. And one of the results of the data is what they call student success. And it's pretty interesting data. And it shows how, if you drill down a little bit, it shows how ACC ranks against the other Michigan community colleges. And it goes back a number of years, so you can kind of look longitudinally. we rank very well against the average of the 27 other community colleges. And we rank very well against the other 9 small rural community colleges. Excuse me. But it bears notice that student success, according to CEPI, is really a function of 2 things. One is graduation rate, and the other is successful transfer. And every community college really does both. And for 2021, which is the most recent cohort, we finished 6th among the 28 community colleges. We have a lower percentage of transfer. A number of the schools ahead of us have a much higher proportion of that. But if you look at the cohorts going back, 2019 and 20, we were 2nd among the 28 community colleges. 2018 and 19 cohort were 1st. 2017 and 16 we were 4th. 2016 and 17 we were 1st. 2015 and 16 we were 3rd. So our students come to ACC, they complete, and they move on with their careers at a very high percentage. In some cases, the top percentage of any community college in this state. So this is something I think is a significant stat and a significantly positive one for ACC. I think it's an institutional win, and I think it's a community win. So thank you folks for watching Talk of the Town. We'll see you again next week.
This has been Talk of the Town with your hosts Bradley Summers and Dr. Don McMaster. For a list of community events taking place in Northeast Michigan, please visit our website at WVKB11.com and click on our community link. This has been a Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation production. All rights reserved.